Red Bun means we're live, a casual take with your boy Stephen Pepper, here to give a take off my chest. Hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. I did, but it didn't seem like Arch Manning did. Oh boy, let's talk about it. Because he finally made his debut as the true starter of Texas. And it was a big test, okay? He had to go into Ohio State, go into Columbus, but it wasn't good. Okay, his final stat line was 17 of 30, 170 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Now, the final stats, if you didn't watch the game, they looked all right. But this is why you always got to watch the game, because the people who did watch the game, they know he entered the fourth quarter with 38 passing yards. Half his completions were checkdowns. Okay, and he looked nervous. He looked shaky. He looked uncomfortable in that game. So, my takeaway from Arch's performance is at least we can finally admit as a nation that Arch is overrated. Okay, can we please admit that he's overrated? People overrated him coming into the season. Now, it's not to say that the kid can't play, because he can, and it's not to say that he can't get better throughout the season, because he will. But all that tank for Arch stuff, generational, best quarterback since blank, was so undeserved. And it was all because his last name is Manning. That's it. It's all because of his last name. And I don't want to hear it, right? Dude, cut him some slack. He had to go to Columbus for his first true start. We can't coddle him, guys. He's a junior. Remember that. Stop acting like he's a true freshman. Arch has started games before. Arch took snaps against Georgia. Arch took snaps against Ohio State. He already had been in Sark's system for 2 years, sitting behind Quinn Ewers, learning the playbook, learning the offense. Now, listen, I'm not saying he should have went into Columbus and lit the shoe up. Okay, even the experienced quarterbacks wouldn't do that against that defense, that defensive coordinator. But all I'm saying is this. If he's truly the next Manning great, if he's truly this generational number one pick, future Heisman Trophy winner, he shouldn't have missed all those damn layups, right? How many easy throws, slants, outs, mesh concepts was he just throwing at receivers' feet all over the place? I mean, it got to a point, Arch missed so many easy throws. Had he just connected on half of them, he would have left Columbus, despite how hard of a test I'll say it was for him, with a W. And this is coming from a Buckeyes fan. I truly believe that. Everyone was so focused on Arch Manning's performance that they didn't really pay attention to Ohio State's offense and how it just wasn't moving the ball. It was 14-7. Arch had the ball, final drive, to go tie the game. Now, some of it was by design. Ohio State didn't want to beat themselves, but had Arch just made some of those easy throws, he would have had at least another touchdown on the board. Okay? But, dude, his play calling wasn't that good. Listen, I'm not going to say that Sark called a great game, but they always say this. You can always tell how much a coach trusts his quarterback based on his play calling. And again, I don't think Sark called the greatest game in the world, but Sark called a pretty conservative game. Didn't really throw the ball down the field much. Part of that's because Ohio State's defense was insane on Saturday. But you can kind of tell he didn't trust Arch in that spot. Just go let it rip. And Arch is a junior. And you can kind of indict Sark on that, but I'm also kind of indicting Arch in that performance and how overrated. Because, again, if he was the next Manning, if he was like this next great, then he would have stepped up and made some of those easy throws. Like, my point is, what has Arch done to truly earn all this ridiculous hype? Right? He was the number one prospect. Come on. I've seen so many number one prospects in my life. No one's ever had this hype with Arch. And that class was a joke if you go look at that class. It's all because his last name's Manning. And since his last name's Manning, we just expect, like his uncles Peyton and Eli and his grandfather Arch, that he's just going to be this next quarterback, because all of them are awesome in college. All of them are awesome in the pros. But I'm watching on Saturday, Arch finally gets to start as the true starter, quarterback one. He has more commercials than good throws. What has he done, Paul Feinbaum, to earn all this hype? Okay, this is the same dude that in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State's defense, that they were calling to put it over Quinn Ewers. Now imagine if Arch looked like that. Now imagine what he looked like in the Cotton Bowl. And I feel bad for Arch, truly, because it's not like he's this arrogant punk who is writing checks for himself that he can't cash. Because he's kind of like a Bronny James in a way, not talent perspective. I think he's better than Bronny James relative to their sport. But like, they're just humble. They understand the great family they come from. Really good kids. But it's the media that's writing checks for him that he can't cash. And it's all because of his last name. Arch can't control his last name. But the media just sees Manning, think he's the heir to the throne, and thinks he's going to be the next big thing just because of his last name. But they haven't really seen him play unless it's against Louisiana Monroe. Now, there's a lot of season left to be played. There is. And Texas' next 3 games are a joke. And, I will admit, going into Columbus, Matt Patricia, Caleb Downs, it is a tough first game for any quarterback. But I'm seeing stuff that you just can't fix. Like, I'm seeing mechanics, arm strength, poise, stuff that you just can't get ready by week 6. Stuff that you can't have ready by the heart of the SEC schedule, by a Georgia game, by the college football playoff. Maybe that gets better for him, but not soon. Okay, you can't fix arm strength. You can't fix accuracy in 4 weeks. So I'm not saying Arch can't play. I'm not saying Arch can't get better. But what I'm saying is people overrated Arch Manning coming into the season, that he's this generational quarterback. Not saying Arch can't play, but it was clear that he's just, not as good as people said he was. But let me know what you guys think about Arch's performance. I appreciate everyone for tuning into this episode of A Casual Take. Follow my social media. Stay updated on all things related to the show. Until next time, see you.